Hey everybody, welcome to It Or Slab It, the Comics Cubed review show. I'm Sean Hilton, owner of Comics Cubed, founder of the Kokomokon, and today I am joined by two of my very best friends in the whole world, my good friend Nick Gray and Edward Gibson. We've got a big list of stuff to talk about. Hopefully some things you'll enjoy. We'll give you a little tip on what we think you might want to check out, and eventually if you watch enough of this nonsense, you'll figure out which of us you agree with and which of us is full of crap. And so there we have it. Everybody have a good week. Any cool comic stuff happen in the world that you want to share with the peoples?
Not so much cool, but I mean, still, we knew it was coming. But obviously, Perez passed away, and before that, Neil Adams. So it's been a heavy comic week in that sense. But so two industry greats gone.
Yeah, it's like I was a little surprised they had kind of announced Perez, even though I think he died a couple days prior. It all hit the news on New Comic Day, or not New Comic Day. Sorry, Free Comic Book Day.
Free Comic Book Day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
there's some new stuff on that day, mostly reprints, but there's a little bit of new things here and there. And then Marvel just lost the license to Conan, even though they'll be able to continue on for a little while. This week, Savage Avengers comes out with Conan starring in the book. So I got a feeling it's a limited series.
So how did go ahead.
Supposedly they will retain the rights to the trades and reprints of stuff that they've already done, which traditionally transfers over to whoever takes over. Like when Dark Horse took over Conan, they reprinted the Marvel books, and when it went back to Marvel, Marvel quickly reprinted the Dark Horse material. So this time, the two different press releases I have read have stated that Marvel will continue to be able to produce the trade paperbacks. Now, I don't know if those are just trade paperbacks of the material they created or if it's the whole run. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'll be curious to see if that's a short-term thing or if that's a long-term thing in the world of Conan.
Who's it going to?
Yeah.
The actual owners of the Conan license, I think it's somebody named Cabin something or other. They're deciding that they're going to just do their own comics now. Really? So they used to just license it out, and now they're like, nope, we're taking it back.
Well, they've only had the license for what, maybe 4 years?
2019, I want to say is when they got it back.
Because I know it was like right before COVID.
Yep.
And so, yeah, they haven't, or maybe they got it before that, and then they started publishing in 2019 at least. But, yeah, they didn't have it for very long. I think their series that they did went maybe 25 issues, and part of that was because it was on hiatus during that whole COVID interruption in comics. And then they've been doing this 6-issue miniseries that's also been delayed, and maybe that's why it's been delayed. They didn't know if they could finish it out, I guess, but...
Yeah,
and little disappointing.
That third issue got him in trouble when they did the Pocahontas thing as like super Halloween, sexy, slutty Pocahontas.
And her outfit was drastically different in issue 4. I don't know if you noticed that. It was like a full bodysuit. Like she was in a full outfit. Like, she looked. I mean, it was the same character, but her outfit was different. He referenced her by a name that it's been so long, but since issue 3, I'd have to go back and see, is that the same name or is that the name they decided to use going forward in reprints and things like that?
I know that in the digital version, they immediately changed the outfit. So it wasn't up like more than a week. And in the trades and other stuff that they're going to be producing, it will also be this newer version, and they will not have super sexy, slutty Halloween Pocahontas showing up. So
right. So it's sad. I've never read much Conan until Marvel got the license, and I thought I'll give it a try. I'll see what it's like, and I've enjoyed the stuff Marvel's been putting out with them. And it seems like right as I get into him, he's gonna disappear and go somewhere else. So we'll see if I follow him. But
I mean, we've already had the Sumerian, which was a blaze, just reprinting European Conan for the American audience and not putting the word Conan on the cover. So over in Europe, he's already in the public domain. So it's different all over the place.
How many years is it before he's here?
I want to say it's like 95 here, but that should still be coming up pretty shortly. However, we have like the Mickey Mouse laws, so with Disney trying to keep the mouse protected, that usually protects a whole bunch of other stuff. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out, how well that the copyright owners have kept it up over the years, because that happened with Cthulhu. People thought that Arkham House had the rights to H.P. Lovecraft's work since, like, I want to say the 40s, 50s, definitely since the 70s. And it turns out that wasn't the case. They thought they had it, and nobody ever renewed it properly. So it had fallen into the public domain quite some time ago now. So, hey, let's talk about some other comics. Let's see here. We've got going on this week. Image put out 8 billion genies. Number 1. So which of us got a chance to check this one out?
I read it.
I think we all read it.
All right, I got a chance to read it.
So
this is my favorite cover, by the way. There were several covers. This cover we have up was by far the best cover.
Yeah, was. There's a reason that cover went on the slide there. It was the best looking one. Basically, it's 8 billion people on the face of the planet, and at the exact same moment, for reasons we don't know, every single person gets their own genie who will grant them one wish, and one wish only.
One wish, one.
And like, it's mostly set in this bar where a bunch, it's literally a random grouping of people have come together right before this happens. And the first wish we see is whatever happens inside this bar, or like, no wishes can impact the people in the bar or the bar itself. The bar will be perfectly safe.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even get the genies to like the last 6 pages ish.
Yeah, it's kind of giving you
that.
the whole bar, who's in the bar, a little backstory of the people in the bar.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the setup of like The Mist or something like that, where you see the characters and what they're doing and how they're interacting, or like a lot of other shows like that. And then all of a sudden, now you've met everybody or have an idea of a little bit what's going on. All of a sudden, here's the thing. And
8 billion genies appear all at once in the world.
Yeah,
and I love
one wish.
There's 2 really great pages where it's like 8 seconds after genies and nothing looks different, and then it's like 8 minutes after genies and you see the world looks drastically different.
Yeah, and what the other thing is they have the population count of how many genies and how many people are alive, and it drastically changes within 8 minutes.
Yep.
So, and you see outside of the bar some of the wishes that are taking place. And so in that scene of chaos, you see, people who've made wishes and what's going on with them.
Which it looks like a 6-year-old with ADHD's imagination when they step outside that bar. It's really cool, but it's just one of those where it's just like, yeah, this is exactly what would happen. And you see people's wishes almost colliding one on top of the other. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of, well, this isn't how I wanted this to happen kind of thing.
Well, immediately you get somebody who makes a wish that was in the bar, but they had walked outside of the bar to do something. They make a wish that is going to impact someone in the bar, and they don't know that the very first thing, like immediately, one of the very first wishes, because the bartender did not wait. He made the non impact agreement immediately, almost like he might know something. It was so fast.
Yeah, he had some ideas.
Which I said, very smart wish. I mean,
oh yeah,
like I mean, in your head thinking about it, I was like, oh man, you could wish for this, but then you got to start thinking about 8 billion people and all of their wishes. That's going to get like wishes are going to be revoking other wishes, and like it's going to get awfully crazy. So I think with the bartenders making the wish that nothing can be affected, the bar or anyone in the bar, then did a neat job of setting the stage so you have a stable viewing platform, I feel, for the rest of the issues.
It makes me wonder if like Sean is in that same city and near that bar, and he wishes for himself to become some like giant robot, and he steps on the bar. Well, is Sean's wish impacting the bar?
I believe so.
Or
I
is
think
the
way it's
bar going to be
worded-
like, is the bar going to be mystically protected? Like Sean can't step there for whatever reason.
I believe so.
Because-
Well, like I think it just I don't know how they would, decide how to arbitrate it, but I think the bar comes out okay. So
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
the
it's
way-
I feel like we're going to find out.
this whole
It's like
thing,
he gave his bar immortality and invulnerability and everything he needed to right away, which you're right. He's very smart to do, and it definitely seems like he knows more, or he's seen something like this before.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this is this book is about what we're doing right now. It's not necessarily about the art or whatever. It's about the concept and the talk. Like, what would you do? What would happen in the world? So it's almost an exercise in imagination and whatnot. And we'll see how it affects the whole story as it goes along. But I felt it was well worth bagging. Definitely going to check out the next couple of issues.
Yeah.
Intriguing, interesting concept. And then there's like other things like babies. Like, somebody had to have given birth within seconds of, this happening. So does the genie speak baby? And does the baby get to make a wish? Or do you have to be a certain age? Because we saw the one younger kid who probably shouldn't have been in the bar, but he was there to pick up his dad. He got a genie. So is there an age range on genies?
It's 8 billion people, so I'm assuming it's every human on Earth.
So yeah, I mean, what happens when you can't even speak?
But is their wish going to be like they're crying because they wish they had a clean diaper and poof, they have a clean diaper? I mean, that
could be it?
Yeah.
So maybe they
I'm
do.
Curious,
That's a good.
I'm curious how far we get into some of the wishes and stuff, because the next issue is the first 8 hours. Because we get up to the first
8 hours.
Yeah, we get the first 8 minutes post Genie in issue 1. Issue 2 is it takes you through the first 8 hours. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm with Sean. I'd bag it. The art, the cover art on this slide that we have up is great. I feel like the art inside the book goes back and forth between there's like really good panels and like the bartender's really drawn really well on a few panels, and then you go to like some of the band people, and I feel like they're not drawn great. Like, so the art I feel flips back and forth. Now the genies, I enjoy the very like whimsical, like completely different like the juxtaposition of them to the rest of the so.
Yeah, I agree. The art was kind of the weaker point at times for me. It seemed a few pages seemed rushed, but then like those big splashes we get post Genie,
that was
great.
Yeah,
and you can
really
tell
good.
like that artist spent all his time on this and was like, oh, I got to finish page 5 real quick because I got to meet this deadline.
Oh yeah, I need 2 people talking outside of a bar.
Yeah. So, it's a good point. I think the wishes we have seen were all spoken out loud. I do think that was something that was indicated. It was nobody's like inner thoughts necessarily, but
that means there's a lot of genies just hanging around with people that are mute.
But they also spoke, like we did see that there's a couple that speaks Mandarin in the bar. Yes. And the genies are speaking Mandarin to them.
Yeah.
So my understanding is that they can speak whatever language of the person they're assigned. So whether it's sign language, I mean, maybe Sean's right. Maybe they speak baby.
It might. Otherwise, these poor genies are stuck here till what? Kids, talk or have a rational thought. I mean, I don't want to. No, give me the bartender. Like, oh, thanks for me. I'm out.
Yeah.
So, and then I have to go back and check. But did the genies go away, or
they disappear?
Okay, so they were going down too. So as wishes were being made, they were leaving as well. All right, so we've got my pull list. I got a couple things read this week. One of the things I'm doing right now is every single day I am reading one issue of Star Slayer, which is the Mike Grell book that started off in Pacific Comics, and then with issue 7 went over to First Comics. One of the first comics I absolutely love. Pacific Comics was the first publishers of The Rocketeer. They also were they were a company out of California that very quickly went after and offered creators their rights. So they're like, we just want to publish. All we want is publishing rights. You own creator rights. You own every aspect of your character. If you want to turn it into a television show, underwear, that's all on you. We just get to keep publishing rights. So Jack Kirby was able to come back and do some work for him. They also got, I think Steve Ditko came over and did something. Mike Grell did something for him. And so this is a book from 1982. And the first 6 issues was basically a mini series. And then with issue 7, it goes to a new company, goes to a monthly format, and they continue the story on. Immortal Red Sonja, still entertaining if you like King Arthur and Red Sonja. The Ocean Will Take Us. Did either of you guys read Ocean Will Take Us #2?
No, I read that first one. And
I thought both of you said you were interested to see where it was going to go. But I'm the only one.
I did not say that because I didn't read it.
I read the first one, and it had moments that got me. I'll be honest, I didn't even realize it came out this last week. So that was how interested I was. So
wow. I thought it was better than the first issue. Naomi #3, I didn't think it was as good as issue 1 and 2. Bunny Mask continues to be. This is volume 2. This is from Aftershock. This is a creepy, creepy book. But this one, we definitely got more of a feel of not revenge, but like this Twilight Zone justice kind of a thing going on with it. So if you want something really, really creepy and odd, but with a twist to it, then I highly recommend Bunny Mask. Death Dealer. Did you guys read Death Dealer?
Nope.
Frank Frazetta's super famous painting. They've done a couple of different things with it. I got to admit, the story itself didn't blow me away. Some of the art was okay. 8 Billion Genes, we talked about. Bellet and Valeria are straight out of Sumerian. They are the same company that's doing Sumerian. Bellet was the pirate queen that Conan hooked up with for years. This book was not safe for work. Every word that comes out of Bellet's mouth, holy cow. Yeah. Whoo. It's rough. It's a good read, but holy cow. I was like, wow. World's Finest #3 might be one of the best DC books out there right now. Batman, Superman. This one's got Robin, Supergirl, Doom Patrol. It's just superb. Something I didn't think we were ever going to see, the return of Fables. It went 150 issues and had a definitive ending. And now all of a sudden, several years later, issue 151. And it looks to be at least 12 issues. And I love it. I can't recommend it enough. I recommend it to everybody. I don't care what kind of comics you read. You got to check it out.
That's out this week, isn't it?
What's that?
That's out this week, isn't it?
It is. Yes, comes out, today if stores are open for DC books. Grim, we're going to talk about. Savage Avengers came out, and then the rest of this stuff looks like all stuff that came out today. So patch #2. Really liking that patch #2. I'm really liking that Wolverine series based on patch. So Iron Fist was pretty good. Savage Avengers, we get a new weird Conan-esque team. Jump on this. You don't need it. I won't lie. I think everybody should read Fables. I came onto Fables around issue 100 and something and got it in trades. It wasn't something I was interested at all. The concept of fairy tales living in the real world seemed, I don't know, that's not the kind of thing I read. And so me, and I think it might have been Ed, went to a comic book show in Michigan, Motor City, which just happened this last weekend, the newest one. And I pick up some trades to drive. So if somebody else drives, I pay for gas and parking, maybe the ticket. And on the way home, I read comics. And so I always pick up a trade or two. I picked up a Fables trade because it was super cheap. It was volume 1, and I'll read just about any volume 1 of anything, and was blown away. It is one of those just superb, life-changing style comics. So it went from zero interest to it is one of my all-time favorites. I can't say enough good things about it. So X-Men Red #2, it just sucks. The book sucks. X-Men Red is a stupid concept. It's not any good. This time we get stuck. Last time we had to deal with Thunderbird bitching and moaning and being a little whiner. This time it was the first Summers Brothers Vulcan or whatever the hell his name is, bitching and whining. Can't stand the character. It's stupid. It's not drawn well. Get Immortal X-Men #2 instead.
I imagine I will have a different review next week.
Yeah, I'm excited for Ed to read that book.
I would too, just to see how he's going to possibly spin it so that anybody thinks it's any good.
I now want to read it.
There's only
Storm
one page
and
in the entire
Magneto
thing
and
that's
Thunderbird
anything good at all.
Storm, Magneto, and Thunderbird building a Brotherhood of Mutants. I'm in on Mars. I got everything
Sean,
I
can
need
you
right
tell
there.
me, is the Fisher King there?
Yeah.
Yes, he is,
Okay.
and he's named.
Nick's in. Nick's in.
You got me.
People know who he is.
I need to
And
go
it was
mark
still
my number
lame.
1 as first appearance of Fisher King.
Yeah. Nobody gives a good goddamn. So it was bad. All right. So a lot of stuff out this week. Out of all of this list, top marks: Bunny Mask, 8 Billion Genies, World's Finest, Fables, Patch.
What's your slab it? What is your absolute? If you're going to take one and that's your slab it, what's it going to be?
Star Slayer number 2. It's the first appearance of the Rocketeer.
It
It was one of the new books, Fables 151. And if there was a burn it would be X-Men Red. The worst book on this list. In fact,
is that what we need to shift our name to? Bag it, slab it, or burn it?
Burn it. X-Men Burn It number 2. How was Duo? I didn't love Duo. That was the last book I read. I read this stack on my porch this morning, basically, or this afternoon, and it was the last book I read. The concept is interesting. I don't know what Earth M is. I don't have a clue what Earth M is. So, was not my favorite. But as I said, I caught it at the tail end of reading some good stuff and some bad stuff, but just not my thing. All righty. Pick of the week: Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War Alpha.
So I think we all read this one too. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I read it last week.
So it is. I think it kicks you off, gives you a little catch up of how, I guess, sad Thor is. I guess every number 1 right now is going to be a Marvel character being kind of sad about life. But and then goes into Thor. It gives you everything it says in the cover. Thor and Hulk get into a big fight and start swinging on each other.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's that much more you can say about this book. It's good in the sense of watching. If you like the big haymaker fight between two titans, I think you're going to get that. You get the start off with the Watcher eating popcorn with a bunch of other aliens. I very much enjoyed that. But Thor's upset at Hulk for killing some people in New Mexico. Hulk says he doesn't do it, and fight. They also wind up in the Adventure Time land. At
yes,
one point.
right.
Look like
Real confused about that.
Yet the description of that universe is not a place you want to go to. It's like they feed their unborn children's eyes to like appease their evil god, and everyone smiles.
Then it was a Nickelodeon afternoon special.
Yeah, I had to reread. I was like looking at the art, and then I had to reread the
I was like,
description.
Clearly this caption goes with a different page, right? Like this is not. I was like, no, they want you to think this is Happy Time. This is a book that I feel like Marvel would have wanted to put out when Thor Ragnarok was coming out, and it was like, hey, Thor's going to Sakaar and battling Hulk and all that. That's exactly what this first issue is. They even have a giant 2-page spread that is like, it says fight at the top. It's got like battle stats. It's a
the video game life bars.
Yes, which was cool, but it just seems like you said, like Nick said, it's Thor has finally tracked down Hulk, and he's just like, I'm just super mopey, and you know what'll bring me out of my mopey funk?
Yeah,
beating the crap out of something that can take it.
Yeah, and the other aspect to this book that I guess you could say, I didn't realize that Hulk had become a spaceship. I hadn't been reading Hulk, or I guess whenever that happened, but Hulk's a spaceship, and Banner pilots him from inside somewhere, and he talks to his girlfriend that is also in the spaceship.
Well, it's like Betty Ross is his Siri. Like Betty Ross is his computer,
and then
Yeah.
exactly. And then Thor talks to Odin, who lives in his hammer.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a few comical. There's some light comic moments, I think, between some of the art and some of the banter. But I mean, if you want to see Thor, Hulk fight, duke it out, I think you're going to get your money's worth. And I believe this it carries on. And was it Hulk?
It goes in. It's going to cross over between Hulk and Thor because I believe Donny Cates is writing both books.
Thor
we got
25.
the new Thor book this week.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thor 25 is where this goes into.
Yeah, Thor's out this week. Is out tomorrow or out Wednesday.
Thor 25 or is it Thor 24?
I think it's 25.
Oh well,
I'd say it should be. Yeah.
So you get this and then right into it.
A super expensive book, and then the very next issue is it's like a $6 book. So it's like back to back Thors are going to cost, like you're buying trade paperbacks and single issues right now with Thor. So yeah, but that whole Mjolnir Odin thing was pretty funky.
Yeah,
so you see Mjolnir was cracked and shattered and brought back together, and Odin is now the life force within it. But the entire time he's mocking Thor.
Well, and like Nick said, you get moments where they're both talking out loud to the person either in their head or in the hammer, and then you get the occasional, who the hell are you talking to? Like Hulk just looks at Thor like, who the hell are you talking to? And he goes, shut up, nobody. And then later on, Banner's doing the same thing, and he goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, I'm gonna punch you. But this is all out, like, just fight. If you want a fisticuff style book, this is it. And some great art, some neat scenes. I've said it since the movie came out. One of my favorite scenes in the first Avengers movie is Thor just knocking Hulk out with his hammer there and on the helicarrier. I was like, that's what I've always wanted to see. This book is that tenfold.
Yeah.
So
really, the last thing I'm going to say is the Hulk solution to having the hammer sat down on top of him. That is a panel that I was.
Well, and yeah, that was awesome, and that's more out of like the Immortal Hulk run that came before the current Hulk run. It definitely felt it was bringing elements of that, but it was very, very cool solution.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the apparently Thor 25. So I want to see where this fight goes, and if the Adventure Time cannibals come back.
Why are they so mean in Adventure Time?
I would definitely wild. Bag this one. Just I'd be willing to see where this goes. I think it's like 5 issues. So.
I mean, if you're reading Hulk or if you're reading Thor, absolutely. If you're not reading either of those books, I wouldn't. I might read this, but then knowing that you have to read Thor and Hulk, like it's not going to go anywhere without those 2 books. I'd probably be out. If you're into those 2 books, it's an absolute bag it. If you're not getting either of those 2 books, I probably wouldn't, unless you're like, hey, where's a good point to jump into one of these 2 books? Then that also might be a good reason to pick it up.
Hey, there's my pull list. I didn't have that much this week. 8 Billion Genes, which we already talked about. Grimm, which I think we're about to talk about in the next slide. Hulk versus Banner, we just talked about. Bunny Mask, Sean talked about it. I didn't read Volume 1. I read issue 1 of Volume 2. I very much dug it. It's up my alley. I want the trade for Volume 1 because I think that this book doesn't. It needs, I think, what happened before, because I was left was like, well, I just want to know what happened now. Like, I need to know who these characters are, how this was set up. So that part, and
there's a
little off-putting. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there really is a lot.
It's right up my alley. I'm going to read the rest of this, and then, like I said, Sean, order me the trade for 1. I assume the trade's out since they.
I think you'll dig it.
I mean, I dug this even not knowing what happened. So, Devil's Highway, Volume 2, Issue 1. Much like the Bunny Mask, this is the second part of the Devil's Highway. Sean, if you didn't read Devil's Highway number 1, I think you would dig that book. So
I'm gonna check it out. I like AWA quite a bit.
Yeah. So the premise on this one is, which I guess we have a slide coming up at the end. I can talk about it there. I can talk about it here, but
Should
I'll
be
wait
the
till
next
end
one.
for it.
Should be the next one. Yep.
But out of that, yeah, I actually really liked everything I read this week. I pretty much bag. I think that entire list was worth bagging. So yeah, you can go ahead and hit the next slide.
I didn't read Devil's Highway, but everything else, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, as I said, Devil's Highway. If you've not read Devil's Highway, if you didn't read the first one, it is kind of a murder mystery cult book. Kicks off in the first issue. There's a girl running for her life, runs into a diner. The diner is set up before older man. He's excited. He's hoping that he gets to see his daughter, who hasn't seen in years. Might come home finally this time for Christmas. One of the guys in the little diner says, "Don't get your hopes up." She doesn't show up. This girl comes running in for her life. He tries to help her, and gets whacked. Guy kills him, and the daughter then does show up. But you don't know. It's like the daughter is like ex-special forces, and has a chip on her shoulder, and she is going to hunt down who murdered her father. And in that kicks off the whole thing, and you find out that there is like this serial cult that or this cult of serial killers essentially that does this little snake motif on these bodies, and no one's really connected it, but there's been several documented cases of these bodies being turned up. A lot of them tends to be like lot lizards or truck stop prostitutes get picked up, and she tracks them down throughout that first issue. You get a closure in that first run to a point, but you realize that there's a bigger thing going on, and that's where this one kicks off. So the continuation of kind of the hunt of this cult. So I think you would dig it, Sean. This is definitely a read for me. It's 5 issues, so I'm all in. Ed, you might even like it.
I'll say that it sounds pretty interesting. I might try and track down that first trade.
One of the cool things I like about AWA is almost, I think everything they do is a limited series. So you get great closure usually. Trade paperbacks they put out are like pretty cheap usually. So they came out, unfortunately, I think they came out like the week that the pandemic kind of kicked in. And one of the very first things they had was, I want to say one of the very first stories was about a pandemic. So
was that Resistance?
I think so. Something like that with the superheroes and some of that stuff.
That's one of their biggest. They have like the Joneses that they have out right now, Resistance, Moths. Those are all in a shared universe.
Krasinski universe.
Yeah, that is the series that I have kind of least like excited about. I don't know. I may go back and try to give it another chance, but it's not one I've read all the pieces to.
I was gonna say just about everything I've read from them I've really enjoyed. And yeah, I remember when the pandemic first hit and a lot of comic publications like stopped, we're not shipping anything. I think that's when this one emerged and kind of said, well, we're going to be putting out 5-issue miniseries left and right. So,
I feel like it's got to be kind of like nice for writers to be able like, hey, you're getting 5. If it does well, like this and like Hotel and a couple other books, like
we'll do it again.
We'll give it another 5 or 6, whatever it happens to be. It's usually 5, I think, but I kind of like that because you get a story wrapped up, nice little trade, and
they've been getting some decent names to come over and do the work too. They're not it's not like just a testing ground. This is, you got Ben Percy, who I think is the guy writing Wolverine currently. You've had Frank Cho, J. Michael Straczynski. You getting some names coming in. All right, so let's see. We're going to talk about Grimm here in just a minute. We've talked about 8 Billion Genies. I liked both of those. I read Jurassic League because Sean put it in my folder. It is.
You're welcome.
I will say this. It is a comic book that exists from DC Comics. What if the Justice League were? What if dinosaurs were like sentient and the Justice League were them? Like Wonder Woman is a Triceratops, Batman is a T-Rex, Joker is like a Velociraptor. I mean, Superman's a Brontosaurus. It's so dumb, and I love this kind of stuff. But I also read that and went, well, that exists, and okay. X-Men 11 was good. It's, I think, the penultimate issue with this team. You finally learn who Dr. Stasis is, who's like one of the heads of Orcus, and it's like, it's a big reveal. It's like, it's a classic X-Men villain, and it is, but I won't give it away here. It was like, okay, I should have seen that coming. Hulk Thor, we talked about. I really dug. Like I said, I've been enjoying the Conan stuff from Marvel. Sean telling us that they've lost the rights. That was how I learned the news tonight. I need to go read these articles because I've never read Conan. I've never been a big Conan fan. And the Marvel launch like brought me back like to a point where I'm like, let's give this a shot. You know, I saw all the Dark Horse stuff for years before and never really jumped in. I kind of always thought, I know nothing about him. I don't want to have to go back and read 40 years of comic books to figure out about Conan. And turns out you really don't. He's real good at killing stuff. That's what you got to know. And it's dumb. It's definitely dumb. West of Sundown was great. It continued this feels like universal horror in kind of the,
American West,
and I'll say even like North American Southwest, because I think they're in Mexico and they're heading towards Central America. But you've got a version of the Invisible Man. You've got the Frankenstein monster. You have a vampire. We've got a werewolf. I mean, I'm just waiting on all the rest to creep in. And
you have chupacabras.
Yeah.
I think
You've
those
got
things
a little bit of everything.
I think those things are chupacabras in it.
Okay, see, I was thinking it was a werewolf. Maybe we're. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's a that's a werewolf. You're right. There is a werewolf. Those things I'm almost positive are chupacabras.
Those are big chupacabras. If that's what those are big ass chupacabras.
What is your comparison? Have you ever seen a chupacabra?
Those things were people sized. They were people sized. I'm thinking chupacabras like the size of a a medium-sized dog at most. Here.
Chupacabras are much bigger than that.
What do you know about chupacabra? You know the chupacabra? I lived in Arizona. I know about the chupacabra. I lived in southern Arizona. Chupacabra on talking terms.
So I didn't even think about those being a chupacabra. That's pretty good. Now I might have to go back and reread that issue. So, but yeah, and there's like a crazy cult that's living in this town.
The crazy cult was fun.
I mean, you got Frankenstein. You got your Frankenstein.
So, and his assistant is basically the Invisible Man. Just like I picked up on that from the first issue, the way he was dressed. He's all like bundled up. He's got the what are they, welding goggles?
Yeah, I didn't catch that either.
Goggles, and then he calls him Griffin in the second issue, and I was like,
okay,
that's right. He's the Invisible Man.
That went over my head.
He is doing his best to be unseen as he trails this vampire across the American Southwest. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I thought this was a far better issue than issue 1. Because you both like number 1. I was like, it's okay. I would have picked up number 2 if it hadn't just been in the store. But after reading number 2, I was like, all right, now a lot more happened in number 2. And with number 1, we already set the mood.
Tell me that's not
they're chupacabras. I'll give it to you.
Let's see this here. Hold up.
There you go. That's a chupa thingy.
That's chupa thingy. You're just making that up now.
But look at how big that is. That's human sized chupacabra.
You aren't versed in chupacabra. You may be good.
Oh, you want to start? Don't get me started. I also love that the covers are like evocative of shock horror cinema. Like these are drive-in cinema, like horror.
Now you say this is like Hammer horror doing Universal Monsters in the Old West. Maybe with a tad bit of Quentin Tarantino, but definitely some Hammer horror kind of a feel to it. So.
Man,
So I think
if
we're
I'm
all
gonna
three now
bag-
on board. On
Yeah, I
what,
liked it
what's
a
the
lot
plan
more.
on-
I'll definitely check it out. I didn't get a chance to read King Conan #4, and I loved the first 3. We sold out, I think, of every copy, and it actually left the store. Normally, I can just pull one out of a folder, but there was nothing left to pull out. They're all gone.
I'd
So I gotta
honestly
find
kind of
one.
thought this book had just disappeared. I wasn't sure if it was ever going to come back. It was the art's gorgeous. Mahmoud Asrar's art is just, I mean, that guy almost seems like he was born to draw Conan. So it sucks that Marvel's losing it because I think he's a Marvel exclusive artist too. If I have to slab something, it might be
Gotta be
either.
Jurassic League.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely
That's
not
a lot of
bonus
first
in any
appearances.
way. It is.
How many first appearances are in that issue?
Woo, every single one.
I'm torn between King Conan and West of Sundown. I don't know that I can choose between one of those. They've just been really fun. And knowing that Conan's leaving, I'm probably going to throw it towards Conan's way because I've been really enjoying that series.
Gotcha. We all read Grimm, right?
Yes, we did. Let's talk about Grimm here.
Boom, Grimm.
From Boom Studios.
I really like that cover. I like that cover better than the cover that I got.
That's the cover I got. So I think
honestly.
you got the really good 8 Genies cover. I got the other one. I got this Grimm cover. So
yeah, that's a good cover. So yeah, I think we all three read this. Sean, what did you think of this one?
It was okay. It didn't blow me away. It was good. It was a good concept. It was well put together. But we've seen there was a TV show called Grimm, I want to say.
Not the one I'm thinking of.
The pouty faced chick who gets killed by like a porta potty from the sky.
Okay, it wasn't called Grimm. I was going to bring this up. It's called Dead Like Me. I was like,
Dead
I know
Like
you and
Me.
I love
Yes.
this show, and I don't know, Nick, if you ever watched that, but
I didn't.
Oh, that would be. I think that would be right up your alley. If you never watched Dead Like Me, Nick, you and Lauren should definitely check out Dead Like Me. But this, I was thinking what we're going to see. We see that there's multiple people. There's a lot of Grim Reapers. They're not death. They are the carriers of death, or the transportation bureau for death. And this chick happens to lose her little scythe that you see there, and has to go get a couple other Grim Reapers to help her track it down. The guy that she was taking to, the next part of whatever had, taken it and then brought himself back to life. And then we get a big twist at the end. She doesn't know why she's dead. She just knows she's dead. And then when she goes back to get her scythe that's been stolen by this guy, she is seen by normal people, and that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
And that's where first issue takes us. That's what we do with it. Art-wise, pretty good, but a lot of concepts we've seen, so.
I will say some pages, it kind of like 8 Billion Genies, some pages were very well done in terms of art, and others seemed like, okay, the art looks fine. Then you get to the next page and like, this is gorgeous. Like the last page with, I'm guessing who is, the head of the Grim Reapers.
Yes.
That was very well done. And then you had some other kind of big splash pages with him being escorted to the waiting room for death.
Yeah, that was a little like,
it's very bureaucratic. So, but yeah, there were some really good art pages. There were some that were just a little like, okay, yeah, let's just get to it. At times, even the guy she's escorting seemed inconsistent to me. But the whole, I've lost my scythe, and your scythe seems to be your everything. It's like your key to everything in the afterlife.
That's how you get across the river.
Yeah.
Like they say that because that's what the two of the Reapers ask her, as how is she going to get across the river. So I enjoyed it. I'll agree. Even though I haven't said Dead Like Me, but it's not overly new ground on stuff. But I thought it was has the potential to be an interesting new take on it. I think it depends on really where issue 2 goes, and what this actually book kind of truly turns into be. Is it going to be focused on just getting her scythe back? Is it going to be centered around her and why she is a Reaper? because she doesn't know.
Well, I imagine
I
it's
think
going to
it could be
focus
interesting.
on. I imagine it's going to focus on the fact that a human spotted her. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's your big. But yeah, it definitely could go towards. Her death, I'm sure, is a long-running mystery in that.
Yeah, I think could have been better. It was an okay first issue. I'm willing to give it a number 2 to kind of, like I said, see where the story wants to progress to. I think number 2 will be the make or break whether or not it's has potential to have a long running story or a story that at least captivate me more than 2 issues. But yeah,
I thought it was cliche after cliche after cliche. From the opening where a guy's dead, doesn't know he's dead, and oh, I'm not dead, and there's a thing. Then we got to take you to the next part where it's literally the river Styx kind of a thing. And then we get to the waiting room of the afterlife, which looks like your BMV. And then the guy has stolen the thing. It's just like, it's hard to give the writer credit for writing this when all they did was reach out and take a bunch of cliches and other things that have been done a lot, including even like the very last thing, which might have been new to the death thing. But, oh, look, there's some kind of official supervisor that's like, oh, I gave them all the special stuff and they screwed it all up. And I'm just like, I will probably read a second issue, but honestly, this is the most disappointing book of the week. This is the one that the art, the theme, everything I'd read about it made me think, oh, this could be really, really good. I'm really looking forward to this. And then what I got was like, just wow. That was one Frankenstein cliche.
I'll admit this one, concept wise, I was more interested in than the 8 Billion Genies when I kind of started reading the two.
I would agree with that.
I thought the art was better in this overall than 8 Billion Genies, whereas 8 Billion Genies has a more unique and new story.
Sure.
So it was just kind of one of those like, okay, yes, this is a little cliche, but man, it looks a lot prettier and at times reads a little bit smoother than I want so-and-so to love me. And I was like, okay, where we're going here, but I'll definitely give this an issue 2. Like I said, it gave me Dead Like Me vibes. And if we get a Mandy Patinkin style character that just hates everybody and wants to do his job, and, I could be in for that. So
yeah, I don't know about this one. This,
two's the make or break.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
You're talking about the 8 Billion Genies art, and this might have had more traditional, smoother lines than but was it needed for this book? Grimm, this book didn't necessarily need to have something that could have also been a Red Sonja book or a superhero book. This book didn't need that. It's talking heads, not much in the way of action. It didn't. I don't know.
I would have liked like a scratchier or something.
Yeah.
More.
See, I'm usually
more
not
abstract.
A fan of the scratchier, but
maybe
if you swap the artists, maybe it does impact the story more. So
maybe it wasn't. The book wasn't improved by having a quote unquote better artist that had a tighter line or something like that. This book, there was nothing there that called upon that would have been different if you'd used anybody. So
yeah, I think I agree with you that when going into this, I would have, before I read them, I was less excited about 8 Billion Genies, more excited about Grimm. And after reading them, I would say if you're getting one of the 2 books, get 8 Billion Genies.
Yeah.
And skip Grimm. But I didn't expect it to be that much of a reversal.
I am interested in what is going to happen in 8 Billion Genies. Her with that twist ending, I'm like, all right, well, that could be a good ending. She
this was a one shot for Sean.
Yeah, she's a human now. So good on her.
She gets a chance to die.
So
maybe that is it. Maybe you're human when you don't have your sight.
There you go. Now, and the other guy gets stuck now being the new, he has to take her job. So he's like, what? So, yeah.
All right. So
all right.
I think that's all the books for the week.
Woohoo! So yeah, I think a big dump this week is X-Men Red. Call it now. X-Men Red.
I'm-
That's the one to avoid.
I may have to read it now.
There's
I'm going
one
to.
good page that revolves around Storm. But if you're a writer and you can't have a powerful moment with Storm, if you can't figure that out, then just stop writing comics. So
going back to West of Sundown, I hope Sean saw this one right here.
I did.
So-
Well, we have it. Yeah, you know me. I love the creature. He's my favorite. But it's like in southern, it's in Mexico and Texas. So having a lake monster.
Maybe he's an ocean monster.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's
Issue
going
3.
to happen.
Issue 3.
Yeah,
But,
issue 3.
We need to let this build a little bit more. There's enough going on between Frankenstein, Bounty Hunter, his Invisible Man partner, Chupacabras, werewolves, cults, vampires. There's enough going on.
Frankenstein's bride is going to show up at the end of issue 6 and be like, "Boom, new story arc. Here we go."
All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody checking out Bag It or Slab It. Again, all these books that you see us review, you can check out at Comics Cubed in the downtown heart of Kokomo, Indiana at 121 East Sycamore. We are open Wednesday through Saturday from noon to 5. We have a live show on Wednesday at 5:30 and at 7 o'clock where we have a sale. We do Bag It or Slab It, and I'm sure that we'll have more and more content coming your way. Gentlemen, until next time, be groovy.